Hi, my name is attorney Ruby Powers, and this is
Hi, I'm Nadia Khalid.
Powers Law Group with our weekly news update and everything that's been going on April 20th, 2018. It's really close to noon Central Time. So thank you for joining us. Last week we had I had the opportunity to go to National Day of Action with the American Immigration Lawyers Association and was able to visit about 6 different offices, including with 2 representatives, including Representative Gene Green and John Culberson from Houston area, as well as with Senator Cornyn's office, one of his office attorneys, and had really great discussions with all the different offices, and was able to hear inspirational speeches by other representatives and senators, meeting with thousands or hundreds of other ALA members on the Hill in DC. And basically I do this every year because I'm trying to advocate for my clients and let them know about changes, let the staff, the congressional offices and Senate office know about the changes, and so that they can be aware of what we're seeing on the ground with our clients, and to advocate for immigration reform, including a DREAM Act, and also to let them know about changes that are happening with the Department of Justice. Recently, in this last maybe month or 2, we've had a lot of changes. In general, I feel like there is an interest in doing something for dreamers, but I think that there's a lot of distraction going on right now. There seems to be a lot of different things pulling people different directions, and I really don't see something happening in the near future, other than they did say there was a vote coming up in the House, and whichever of the different provisions, bills got the most votes would pass the House, and the vote was going to come in June. And so we're going to be watching for that as well. Some of the offices we met with, they were very all ears and very interested in hearing what's going on in immigration, and some of the offices, the staffers and the representatives had lots of knowledge and were very on top of everything of what was going on. So overall, it was a great experience. And while I was in DC, I was able to go to an asylum interview in Arlington the next day after National Day of Action. And so overall, very grateful for that. Just what you need to make sure you call your representatives, your senators, pay attention to what's going on with advocacy, and make sure your voice is heard. And make sure, if you are a U.S. citizen, 18 and up, that you register to vote, because this is election year and there's a lot going on. So be civically minded and engaged. So, second major announcement that we have, or second major topic that we have, is that Powers Law Group is opening an office in New Jersey. We are opening it near the Newark area, and it will be opened by next week, and our number will be 201-210-8240. We'll let you know that again, but basically it's 201-210-8240. We'll be in the Newark area, actually in Hackensack, the North New Jersey area, and that is a great location because it's only about 25 to 30 minutes from the Newark Asylum Office, and about 30 minutes from the Newark Immigration Court and a USCIS office. So, and we can also see clients from local Pennsylvania, New York, and even some other nearby states. So we will have an attorney full-time in that office, and we'll be giving you more details about that soon. But our number is 201-210-8240. And also, that's the New Jersey number. But our number here, just because I forgot to tell you, is 713-589-2085 here in the Houston office where we are right now. And because immigration is federal, we are able to help clients all over the U.S. and the world on U.S. immigration matters. So we will be having in New Jersey next weekend, not this weekend, but it's the April 28th and 29th. The other associate and I will be having a presentation in the morning of both days around 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and then having mini consults. We'll be doing as many consults as we can for those who want to come, complimentary as part of our new office opening. And we're very excited. We'll be letting you know more about those details on our website and social media. But basically, we're coming to the East Coast. And last but not least, in our top news of what's going on with Powers Law Group, I am here to introduce Nadia. She has been with us since December and is now officially in the associate attorney role. So we're going to get to know her a little bit better today.
Hi guys, my name is Nadia Khalid and I'm a newly licensed attorney in Texas. I've been an attorney for a little over a year now, and I've been lucky enough to join the Powers Law Group as a clerk in December 2017, and then I started here as an attorney in March 2017. A little bit about me. My family is originally from Pakistan, so I speak Urdu, so Assalamu alaikum to my Urdu speaking people who are watching. But I also can speak Hindi because Urdu and Hindi are very similar. I love languages. I know Urdu, and throughout college and even now at nighttime I take Arabic classes. So merhaba to my Arabic friends who are watching. Kaif al hal, I hope you all are doing well. I went to my undergraduate college here in Houston, which is why I ended up coming back. I went to Rice University, and I just love the Houston community. I think it's super diverse, and I love the culture that's here, and that's what really drew me to working in immigration law. And then for law school, I went home to Dallas, home of the Cowboys, and I went to law school at SMU, Southern Methodist University, where I tried to focus my classes in international law and the rule of law of different countries. So I really hope that in my time here at the Powers Law Group, I can focus on immigration law in general. And one thing that I really enjoyed working on is asylum law. Since I started in December, Powers Law Group has seen a lot of asylum applications, and we're doing our very best to help all of our applicants for asylum. We have huge news this past week in the Powers Law Group. We received not only one, but two asylum approvals from the Houston office alone. And so that is very encouraging. We had one client who was waiting over 15 months for a decision, and we had one client who waited less than 6 weeks for their decision. So we're super proud of them, we're super happy, and we've actually learned a lot from both of those approvals. If you look out for our newsletter this week, and we've already published it on our website, I wrote an article about asylum trends. And so there are a lot of trends, but there are three that I really want to focus on right now in the short time that I have with you. The first is that the asylum offices across the United States are extremely backlogged and overwhelmed by the amount of people applying for asylum. As a result, this is good and bad, they instituted a new policy called last in, first out. So every asylum application filed after January 2018 is receiving a priority interview date within 5 to 6 weeks from the time that the government receives your application. So on the one hand, this is a good thing because you're receiving your interview notice much faster, but on the other hand, it can be burdensome for the applicant because the office expects you to be prepared and to be attentive to your application by the time that your interview comes around. Which leads me to my second trend, that the asylum officers are not always prepared. Because of the short time turnover from when they receive your application to when they interview you, they might not have always had time to look over your application thoroughly and to understand everything you provided. So the third largest trend that we really want to reiterate here at the Powers Law Group is that having an attorney is extremely important during the asylum application and interview process. Your attorney, people like me and Ruby, have been to these interviews, and we see that the asylum officers need the applicant to provide documents during the interview. They need the applicant to be extremely attentive to what they're asking. And most importantly, sometimes they need the legal counsel within the room to explain the country conditions, provide supplementary evidence, and to reiterate the reason why this applicant should receive asylum. So at the Powers Law Group, we're more than qualified to do that, and we've been to so many asylum interviews that we're seeing these trends being repeated more and more. So we just really want to reiterate that having an attorney can ensure fair questioning, and a fair interview for every asylum applicant. So those are the 3 major trends. If you read our article that's in our newsletter, you'll see that there's at least 6 other trends that I mentioned. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to contact our office.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you on board, and I know that a lot of clients have already met you, been working with you, and also, you know, you've already been going to a lot of different interviews since you started, and are becoming just an integral part of the Powers Law Group. So she is also doing asylum consultations and is just all different aspects of the firm. So we're glad to have her on board. So if you hear Nadia, this is Nadia, and you'll be hearing more from her as we get more of her information online. But her bio, you know, some of the places she's worked, some of the experiences she's had, is a great diverse part to add to our component of the Powers Law Group. So that's really exciting. So we're glad to have you, and thanks for joining on our show today.
Yeah, it was fun. I hope you guys learned a lot.
Yeah. So we're gonna go on to some of the other news that's happened recently, because, you know, it's not a regular week if we don't have a crazy amount of news. So one of the biggest things that happened recently was a Supreme Court ruling. It really shook everybody up a little bit, because there was a 5-4 ruling that basically said that some of the interpretation of the crimes of violence was too vague, and that it was too vague to be used to deport people who had crimes of violence and aggravated felonies. So Justice Gorsuch, who was nominated by President Trump, joined 4 liberal colleagues in saying the statute was too vague for the immigration courts to reach a conclusion as to this particular case that was in here. So this is actually a victory for due process, and this is also a victory for immigrants. It is very complex to interpret, and this is just a general overview, but basically this just happened recently, and it's definitely a victory for due process and immigrants. This is, it proves that immigration is complex, and it's really hard to interpret a lot of it to the state laws in the federal immigration context. And this was great to explain that if it was too vague and broad for a judge to be able to make that determination, that it needs to be more clear. And so we're very grateful for this win. This is a great victory in what seems to be a lot of different anti-immigrant policies and changes in the last 15 months or so. So we're very excited about that. We'll start seeing that into place. Well, and not so good news. Last week, I did the Facebook Live for a really short time while I was on the Hill. But one of the things that I would have said to you is that they got the ICE. Well, the DOJ got rid of the legal orientation program. And so basically this, it's like a legal aid program, would educate detained immigrants about their rights while they're detained. And it said, experience shows that the LP attendees were positioned to make better informed decisions. Basically, there was some grants, and nonprofit attorneys would go into the detention facilities, and they would be given a list of all the detainees who didn't have attorneys, and maybe some more information about them, like why they were there, and they would give them a presentation. They wouldn't give legal advice, but that's why it was called legal orientation. And it would explain, there's cancellation removal, there's asylum, there's all these different things. There's maybe you're a citizen and you don't know it. And so this helped people who didn't have access. Some detention facilities are so far away from immigration attorneys, or it helped people who didn't have the money or the resources to hire somebody for help. So basically, they announced last week that they're going to get rid of this program, which nobody doesn't like this program. That's too many negatives. Basically, I'm saying everybody seems to like this program. There was a hearing yesterday or Wednesday on the Senate about DOJ, And there was a big discussion about why would you get rid of the LOP program if everybody likes it. It speeds up court because the people know what their options are, and they might be more willing to go for voluntary departure or removal if they know that they don't have an option. Or, it might help empower them to want to find somebody to help them. And so all the studies seem to show that, and all the judges included, like this program. So we're not really sure the justification for getting rid of the program, other than it's not giving people a fighting chance. So the Immigration Judges Union said this program is highly valuable and they would like to keep operating during the audit. That was the other part of the hearing. It said this week on the Senate was, well, why, if you're trying to figure out if it works or not, then why don't you audit while you still have it working, as opposed to getting rid of it with like only a couple days notice. And let's see. So Democrats and immigration rights advocates said the administration's scrutiny of the program is an attempt to sweep cases through the system more quickly. A quote from Melissa Lopez, an executive director of the Diocesan Migrant and Refugee Services. They're basically going to do everything blind. And a shout out to Melissa. We used to be law clerks together at Catholic Charities like about 10 years ago. So I'm great. She's doing great work over there in El Paso. So this is a big deal that I don't think a lot of people understand, that they just announced this last week. And, we talked about John Oliver's skit, a satire about immigration court a few weeks ago, but now it's getting worse. If you get rid of this program, people are not going to have any knowledge of what their rights are. So we're advocating, we're trying to get, I've been interviewed a couple times this week by reporters. We're trying to get the word out that this is needs to be reinstated, and we hope this is just a temporary pause and that they'll put it back in place soon. Yeah, and actually the program was started in 2003 under President George Bush. So we've had the program for 15 years. So there's one other thing that I wanted to mention, and we had talked about it before, which was the Mendez v. Rojas case, which said that the court held the government's failure to provide adequate notice of the 1-year deadline constitutes a violation of the immigration statute of the Administrative Procedure Act and class members' due process rights under the Fifth Amendment. So therefore, the court ordered that the government adopt a notice of the 1-year filing deadline and provide this notice to all current and future class members. Further, the court ordered the government to adopt, publicize, and implement uniform procedural mechanisms that will allow these class members to file their asylum applications in a timely manner. So in the details, now they're giving us more information. There's from the American Immigration Council provided recently that there's Class A and Class B, and basically you could try to find out what your options are, whether you had been put in removal proceedings or you're not in removal proceedings, whether you have an opportunity to have an extension, and how you can remedy having missed your filing deadline. So it says also that the government has until July 27, 2018 to adopt, publicize, and immediately implement the uniform procedure. So that's coming soon. And the court's decision became effective on March 29, 2018. And also this is across the country, not just in the state that the ruling was made. So just like in summary, thanks for watching and still staying on with us. But, there's lots of changes going on. We've seen so many going on with court. They don't want to give us continuances. There's not wanting to terminate. They're wanting to detain pregnant women. They want to split parents from children. They get rid of the legal orientation program. They want to have quotas, and I've heard they want to implement that by the fall. And, I've been talking to journalists this week. I probably need to sit down and write an op-ed. That's where we're trying to get this word out to you guys, everybody, to know what's going on. I think for the practical senses, if you are an immigrant who doesn't have a stable status of some sort, or if somebody you care about that's in that situation, you should get a consultation really quickly. I had a consultation this week where a loved one is detained, and the family member is just trying to find whatever they have about that person's documents, and it's like a mystery. We're trying to figure out what happened while the person's detained. And, if a person had already had that organized with a consultation beforehand, it would make everything a lot smoother, because really when something like that happens, you don't have a lot of time to act, especially if someone has a prior order or just signs their removal order without going to court. We are always available to the media, journalists, and any other groups who also speeches. If you want to give us a call, between all of us, we speak some Arabic, Urdu. I know some Turkish, but I can't do a presentation in Turkish. We speak Spanish, and we have English. And so we're there. We want to help educate the community. And, our number is 713-589-2085. And you can also, when we do these Facebook Lives, will be again on next Friday. You can ask us questions on the Facebook Live in the comment section, or email us at contact@rubypowerslaw.com. And I'll be going to the border this weekend for court in Los Fresnos, Port Isabel on Monday for asylum case. But we have a lot of attorneys able to do consultations and interviews and help. And we also travel to other offices as well around the country for asylum and adjustment in court. I think that's about it. We've had a lot going on like we do every week, but I don't know. Is there any other holiday coming up? I don't know. But I mean, we're really grateful again to the 2 asylum cases we got approved yesterday. We're so happy for our clients. And, I think I wanted to bring up my Constitution because, that's what we're here to do, is defend people's rights and defend the Constitution, civil liberties and civil rights. And along those lines, we have a very interesting, fun announcement that the ACLU is moving in right next door to us in like a week, I think. So we're excited to have them as our neighbors. So this is a shout out to the ACLU. And I guess that's it. So thanks for watching with us. And if you have any questions, give us a call. This is Ruby Powers with Powers Law Group. Thanks.